Thank you for joining me again. I pray that you get a pen, listen in, and most importantly, make sure you invite a friend, meaning share this. Try to bless somebody else. Well, we are continuing our B.A.R.S series, which means the B stands for boundaries, the A stands for accountability, the R stands for reciprocate, and the S stands for sanctification. We're talking about regeneration of our souls. But guess what? We haven't got past the boundaries yet. And we're on part 2 today in regards to emotional witchcraft. So I pray that you will get a pen and listen in. And remember, those who are seeking a CEU for clergy best practices or anyone else that need to get best practices in regards to self-care, this is it. So I wanted to share that with you. If you're interested in getting that credit, you can email me at better, B-E-T-T-E-R, family, the number 3, at gmail.com, and let me know you're interested in the credit. Let's jump into the lesson. Let me start my timer. I don't know if I'm going to get through with all this, because we will have a part 3. I've already saw that as I begin to really dig deep into what is being said today. Let me give you a scripture reference that I want you just to meditate on after you get a chance to really get into this lesson and talk to God about it. And so I'm giving you Psalms 40 in verse 4. It says, "Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust, who does not look to the proud, to those who turn aside to false gods." Now, I just read to you the NIV, and I pray that you would get into either version you choose, but make sure that you just meditate on the fact that you're going to be blessed when you make the Lord your trust. What it is, many of us have engaged in a lot of relationships, and a lot of us have allowed people to get too close in this emotional part that we're on part 2 of witchcraft. I was kind of talking to you, if you go back and listen to part 1, I was talking to you about different things that you need to recognize in regards to different ways that people flow with manipulation and things like that to get really close to you, to get to try to derail you or deter you or to manipulate or control you based on information, okay? So, I always say, I think as a black people, really, to tell the truth, any race, male or female, we really talk too much and we share too much information. I find that out, as a rule, I see people that share a lot of information publicly on Facebook and a lot of other social networks, and they're wondering why people do or say so many things or plan different ways to attack them. They're opening the gate. That's the best way I can say it. But in this emotional part of the series here that we're going to be doing, and matter of fact, because I have to cover all of these acronyms here, I don't know when we're going to get through with these series. So please be watching to pay attention to the series so you'll know to stay, sync with us, in other words. So, but in the emotional realm, what we're talking about now as far as witchcraft is concerned, I'm kind of sharing on this segment about people that can become very toxic, people that can become what I call where they're depleting you from your what is very important to all of us, our bandwidth in the emotional realm, that sort of like our soulish realm or in our psyche that just really messes with us, that really just teaches us that we are, in a place that we're being pushed to the side or pushed or crammed in, or drained, in other words. So we need to make sure that there's too much information going out and too much is coming in, that the person who is receiving information that's there to practice what you have given them on you because you talk too much. Let me slow it down. So anyway, on the emotional boundaries part, I want you to think about what I mean by the emotional boundary. I've said that already. It's talking about those things that you find yourself trying to, not share, but you keep your gate wide open because a lot of people just want to be close and friendly and share information, but many of you have shared too much personal information, and gradually people started getting close to you and buying your gifts and doing things with you and going places with you and, telling you my girl, you my bro, and before you know it, during this part of the relationship that you're actually growing, the relationship now becomes too revealing, and everything about you, everything about where you're headed, all your dreams, your visions, the things that you felt that you could share those things. And I'm not telling you to be so, open-minded to the point that, you can't seem to shut some things back because you want to make sure that you're friendly. But no. I want you to make sure that you do think about that you got to shut some things off and push back, because that does not mean that you're not being friendly, but you want to be some earthly good. You want to make sure that you are trying to talk to people and you are sharing with people and you are want to be revealing and candid when you know that God is leading you to, not because you feel that they're sharing, so you got to share too, because emotional boundaries can be very, very violated when someone starts to criticize you or belittle you, or, what they try to do, they try to take away or devalue you, okay? So they want to make you feel little or make you feel less than because of the fact that maybe it's something that you've done to hurt them or disappoint them, or you may be invading their territory of wherever they are feeling more important at, or that, the person that they are in friends with, you may be trying to get too close to their friends, or they don't want you to get too close to a parent or someone in the church or what have you. But whatever, I just want to make sure you understand where you are in this emotional witchcraft. So here's the deal. I want to make sure that you know that you watch for part 3, because I've got to wrap this up to make sure you get some nuggets to kind of help you understand how to deal with this toxic type of relationship that's causing many people who are just going through so much oppression, so much demonic, I call it just oppression. It really, really is, to the point that they feel very dysfunctional. They feel abandoned and rejected, so they don't know how to deal with this thing. So what has happened is they have their energy just really sapped out to the point that they don't know how to say no. They don't know how to say, I can't talk about that, or I choose not to talk about that, or why do you want to know this information? So you got to flip the question for the question. And so, but the emotional sacrifice is what you're doing, and you can no longer be sacrificing your energy. We're going to talk about on part 3. I'm hoping I can come back and talk about how you need to make sure that you check out your, I'm going to give you 5 inner healing strategies at the end. So you want to make sure you watch for that. The 5 inner healing strategies to increase your emotional and your mental bandwidth, because many of you are really taking this stuff to bed. Many of you being hurt emotionally. You just carrying this stuff around because your emotional bandwidth and your mental bandwidth has been totally sapped out, and you're doing your very best to try to handle the situation. So I'm going to give you these keys at the very end on part 3, but I want to jump into this now, because I believe that what I'm going to be sharing with you on part 3 is going to teach you how to save, not sacrifice, okay? Save your emotional and mental bandwidth so that you can move forward, so you can have the energy that you need, to recognize when people have friendly witchery. You're going to be able to recognize that if this person now have this friendly witchery that I talked about in my book, Friendly Witchery, you're going to be able to recognize if this is really happening in your life or in your relationship. So let me jump right into this here, what I'm going to be talking about right now today on part 2. So this is what I want to share first. I want to talk about some simple ways that you can see and describe these things based on the type of relationship that you might be in now. It could be very, very toxic, and most of the time it is when it's emotional witchcraft, because they're practicing every way they possibly can, from relationships, like I said, friendships and work-related situations. I mean, anything. It could be that you just got a new car and people are sabotaging things concerning your car, concerning your clothes you wear, whatever, borrow them and destroy them. Just evil-minded, even evil intentions, okay, from the words that they speak, from the behaviors that they do. There's an excessiveness that's going on in the body of Christ right now. The people that are up close and personal with you, you've got to pay attention to these types of people who are very toxic, because they have an excessiveness to want attention. They seek attention all the time, because many of them have been wounded very, very bad as children, okay? Many of them have been great have great, deep sores of rejection that they feel rejected to the point they self-reject themselves and think everybody else is rejecting them. Okay, so they feel abandoned. They feel neglected. I mean, even as children, all the way up to adult children, they are still dealing with issues from neglect from their own parents who abandoned them or rejected them. So there's an unnourished part of them. There's an extreme desperation for love. And we all come across people. We all need love. Who doesn't want love? Who doesn't want relationships and friends? There's something wrong with that if you don't, But we all come across people who are prone to attract these kind of drama people. Everywhere we go, we see that some people just want to always create, how they say, mountains out of molehills. And that is because they have what they call a Leviathan or Jezebelic type of spirit because of people have controlled them so long, whether it's been from abuse, sexually, or abandonment, or rape, or what have you, or neglect from a parent, or even someone who was caretaking them. But we all going to come across some type of people who have these things I'm going to share with you right now. Maybe this could be you, but you got to become aware of this situation, okay? One of the things I can remember very clearly when I was young in my dating life, I felt rejected and abused so bad, and most importantly, I felt neglected because over and over again, every man that wanted to be with me was always about sex. I know I'm talking to somebody, and I thought because of my face, I needed to be able to give my body to whomever I felt will receive me. We have a lot of women today and a lot of leaders today who are doing more than God is calling them to do, who are doing things to be able to get attention, to get people to pay them attention, to get people to recognize their gifts. And many of them are just getting on the internet or just typing out titles for themselves and say that they are ordained apostles, evangelists, teachers, or whatever, apostles. But what I'm saying to you is that we need to look at those unnourished souls. These are souls. And regardless, if you're a leader and you listen to me for self-care, think about these issues for yourself, people that you may be leading, people that you may be in contact with even on your job, in the church, okay? Think about this, who's leading you. For some reason, many of them can be very dramatic, and they become very dramatic because they're trying to convince you that there's something wrong with you, okay? And we don't like to use that term, something wrong. I believe there's something that happened. We can stop saying what's wrong. It is something that happened. What happened to you? And so especially coming from a dysfunctional home, many of us have come from that. The word dysfunction don't even fit. It's just simply we come from trouble and trauma. I don't want to preach. Just trouble and trauma, because dysfunction is just a word that the people have, scientists and psychologists have come up with to say this is not functioning right, so it's dysfunctional. But actually it's just simply that we have been traumatized and we have been in trouble, both financially, emotionally, and physically, okay? So, but they have been rejected as well, okay, from their parents or their siblings, and people just craving for attention. Many people just over-drugging themselves, tattooing themselves up and changing their identity and doing everything you can think of because they need attention. They want love. They want to be able to feel a part of. And so we've got to be very prayerful about how we're handling souls, but at the same time, we got to know that subconsciously the only way these types of drama queens and kings that are toxic, those who are giving us these types of behaviors because of what I described earlier, we've got to get them to understand that these negative type of connotations, these situations, these different storylines that they come up with and different liar Dora and liar Leons, what I call them. But we're going to be covering some areas that both Jezebel and the Leviathan spirit that these people may be suffering from these demonic attacks that's been over their lives because they never had anybody to deal with them because they are flowing through emotional witchcraft. So let's talk about the first sign of it in this toxic area is that, first of all, many of them have the sign of low self-esteem. Okay, that's number one. Low self-esteem. And then they have a poor self-image. Many of them don't see themselves as beautiful. That's the way I was. I had a poor self-esteem. I had a poor self-image, of course, because I'm looking in the mirror with all these scars on my face. They ain't hardly got no teeth. They had a beautiful figure, okay? And then so men was looking at the body, and I thought they were looking at my heart. Well, they were looking at the body and see what they can get in the bed with. I know I'm talking to somebody. And so, but the low self-esteem part, not just for women, but we got this going on with men. They don't believe that they are any good. They don't believe they're worth anything, so they'll do whatever it takes. They will take toxic relationships and be with them, even though they know it is drama queen that they're dealing with, or it is the drama king that she's dealing with, because of the Jezebel and Leviathan spirits that is still hovering in their lives, okay? So this low self-esteem, these poor self-images, they start to link together. They start to seek approval. They start to seek attention, because it's attention addiction. That's what they have. They have an addictive behavior for attention, and so therefore this personality does not come from a true identity or self-worth, okay? It's just coming from pain, like I said, and problems and trauma. Number two, they become discouraged or upset, okay, unless they're the center of attraction of whatever's going on, whether it's a party, whether it's entering the room, and you could see with Jezebel or anybody like that, the Leviathan in a room, all hell breaks out, especially if they're leading somebody. If things ain't the way it's supposed to be, everything is going to be turned upside down, and everybody in the room is going to be walking on eggshells, okay, because Leviathan and Jezebel kiss each other in this type of control and toxicity. But listen to me. They become very discouraged and upset if you're not paying them attention. They get easily hurt if someone is in the center and they're not, especially if that person is successful and people are paying them attention. Number three, they become very argumentative, blaming other people, okay, because they don't want to accept who and what they've done and who they really are. They want to blame the person who they're jealous of, or blame the person who is succeeding, blame the person who they see that's really, really a beautiful person. And so they try to diminish or try to take everything to deflect from what they've done. They try to blame and look like everything that they're doing is all because, or whatever didn't happen right was because of the one who they want the character to look very low and take their self-esteem down, because they have none. Number four, they're very in denial. Okay, they're in denial of their problem. They're always elsewhere with something else in regards to their problem. They got a reason for everything. Okay, they're in denial. They say, no, that's not it. Oh, you missed God on that. I don't believe that's God saying that to you. I don't see where you got that from. That's because they have these signs of rebellion. That's what Jezebel does. It's a spirit of rebellion. It ain't a woman that's got all this makeup on and all this wild hair and clothes and nails and color, big red lipstick. It ain't that. And jewelry. It's not that. It is a person who is in chaos. That's number five. They're in chaos. And one thing I know about this, a person who is in chaos, that's number five, they begin to create the chaos. They begin to create the turmoil because they are angry that people now are paying attention, or people now are looking at something that person who God has anointed, not that person who is trying to give themselves vainglory, but the person that God has anointed. So they create chaos or turmoil to try to make things look bad, or make it look like it's not working or failing, or that this person is not qualified or good enough to do a thing. So they try to send some type of demonic messenger through somebody else to say, oh, did you hear about this? Oh, but they not bold enough to deliver it themselves. They send it by somebody else who they know is a gossiper, who they know will be messy. So they create all this chaos and create all this turmoil and try to divide and conquer because they are jealous. They want to make sure they pull you down, meaning you will not get to where you're going before I do. I don't want to preach. Number six, they can't relax and rest. That's another great sign. They're very always antsy. They always got to be doing something when it comes to some event or something that you all are connected to about. They can't relax. They, instead of giving you new ideas about what to do or what you shouldn't be doing or what you ought to change your mind about doing, because it looks like it's going to shine too much on you. So they want to make sure that there's different types of unrest, things that are not put together. They don't want it. They can't relax even in their own physical body or mind. They can't sleep good. They have nightmares. They always got something that they complain about, their headache, their body ache. But mainly, importantly, they cannot relax. Number seven, oh, Lord, they fall madly in love, okay, and then in hate when the ego is fed, okay. When it's fed, They get very in love. They get very, very overbearing, to tell the truth, when they really feel like that this is something that I know that I'm supposed to be doing with you. I know that you're in love with me, and we're talking about heterosexual. And we know the same thing when it comes to same sex. However, but when we find someone who gets madly in love, and then before you know it, when they see that it's not coming the way they thought it would come, these toxic type of relationships and people who are there to deplete your mental and your emotional bandwidth, meaning they're training you out that you have no more room. And subconsciously, I find that people who are going through this, they tend to suffer a lot because these people who have fallen in love with them, and they were just thought that it was partners and friends. Now they fall in love with you emotionally, so now they're practicing this witchcraft. And then now when you don't come into the realm that they thought you would come into and fast enough, because now their ego is feeling crushed, you know what they do? Now they hate you. They hate you now, because now their ego is not being fed by you. The ego is not being puffed up anymore. So now they hate you. They feel like you are a problem. Number 8. Oh, God, they're extremely interested in other people's lives. Guess what? And they find power in information. That's why I'm telling you this emotional witchcraft is very toxic, because what they do is they get close enough. And if they are interested in what you're doing all the time, want to find out what you're doing and where you're going and what you're buying, and, I'm just so concerned about family members and things like that, watch those conversations, okay? Watch those conversation information that you're giving out, and make sure that what you give out, you make sure you gauge it so you can be able to come back and see what this person is doing based on the Jezebel and the Leviathan spirit that continues to try to send out this information to appear that they're there to support you, because they are really drama queens, okay, and kings. Okay, and then the second thing, like where I'm at, number 9, they're very self-destructive, okay? They're very self-destructive, very distractive. Their personality is always going to be very distractive, because it's, like I said, it's trying to get you off of the person who may be getting more attention than them, or to make you not be connected with someone else if they feel that you're getting away from them and you're getting more closer with the other person. So they're very self-destructive too. They begin to self-destruct because now emotionally they can't sleep. They can't eat, because they're steady trying to find information about you and the other person that maybe now you're spending more time with. See, this self-destructive and this distracted personality, they begin to shield you or that other person of their truths and facts, which are lies that they had told you, to be able to get to them and to get them to divide from you so that they won't be close to you. So now you have to come back to them and talk to them about something that you already know that they planted, but you're trying to figure it out, when actually you already know it's witchcraft. They've done this to divide, but you feel that they're trying to help you or you, when actually what they're trying to do is distract you from this person who they feel is dividing you from them. I'm pulling you away is a better word, from them. I hope I got the numbers right. Number 10. So they have a rapid shift of emotions, okay? They're very impulsive. They have extreme mood swings, okay? One day they might be on the mountaintop and happy. Next day they may be in a deep pit. There's always something that they're depressed about, and they never try to act depressed, because especially those who are clergy, they're always hollering, I'm blessed and I'm highly favored, and that God is with me. But when these emotions start to shift, okay, when these impulsive, extreme mood swings start to come up from those things that I talked about earlier on, about the wounded and rejection, abandoned, all that, when these things start to pop out because they feel that you're reminding them of this stuff, okay, you're hurting them like the other people did, you're treating them like the other leader did, held them back or whatever, wouldn't recognize their gift, guess what? Rapidly, they're going to have this shift. They're going to be very impulsive. They're going to start doing all these different mood swings, and they're going to start letting you know, and they're going to, next thing you know, they're going to go into this deep, low place where they feel that it's all your fault that I'm like this. It's all because of you, that I'm feeling this way. And I believe that many of these open wounds that people have never had any oil of the anointing for people to have healing for them. This is the reason why many of them had this unfinished emotional wound that needs to to be closed. I think that's the problem. People need to get counsel. People need to seek true leadership who is not afraid to correct, who is not afraid to sit them down and tell them you can sit here or you can carry on. But we are not in the hour to allow people to just be in this place where they eventually are going to self-sabotage and fool around and have themselves in a mental institution because they're so busy trying to practice witchcraft, and the very thing that they're doing is going to come back to them, just like I said in Psalms 40:4. Blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust, and not the hand of man, and not the ways of man, and not the intellect of man, but that God is trying to get you to see that in him all things are going to be possible, and only through him are you anything at all and can't do anything without him. Okay, not do anything without him. The next thing, I lost numbers, so you just go ahead and write the numbers down because I lost track. I think maybe 11 where I'm at now. I'm just so full with this message. But very dramatic, okay? I think this is number 11. They're very dramatic. They're very theatrical, as I said before, especially in the front of people. You know, they know it all. They got all this drama stuff about what they can do and what they know how to do and what they've been doing for years. And let me prove myself to you, or I can do it better. Number 12, if I'm wrong, please make your numbers right. They're very exaggerated, okay? They go way and beyond with their emotions in expressing things, you know, and then even while being insincere, they begin to become very concerned and sad with their own physical appearance. Okay, when they know that what they're saying about themselves or what they believe about themselves is not true, they start to get depressed. That's why I say a lot of people who are suffering with this is in mental hospitals that they need to be on medication, because some of the people they are really hurting themselves or hurting other people to the point that they're trying to not only sabotage them to things to be destroyed, but they're tearing up their own lives and marriages and relationships because of these types of toxic drama, queen and king situations. I think I'm number 13, constantly seeking reassurance, okay? They're constantly seeking reassurance from that person that they're really looking up to. And there's nothing wrong with trying to, clarify if you're doing okay or doing a good job. But when they're constantly seeking reassurance, when they're constantly seeking praise and they're constantly looking for rewards and encouragement and approval from you, there's something wrong with that. That's why I said we got to make sure that you're paying attention to people who are using these types of methods, these type of drama, toxic types of ways to be able to get you in this type of mode to the point you find yourself doing this stuff and you don't even realize, because it's witchcraft. It's working on you to be able to make sure you be the strength for them, and they're sapping the very life out of you. That's the reason why I got to share on part 3 about your emotional and your mental bandwidth. It's being depleted. There's plain sap suckers on the loose, and many of them are on the loose because we open the door and we let them in because we don't want to recognize the fact that many of us are trying to prevent from hurting people. But I believe we hurt people when we don't help them with truth. Number 13, I guess, is where I'm at. Easily influenced by words, okay? News or comments of others, okay? They're easily influenced by these type of, I call them slick, smooth words. These news or comments that people have said about them or what they're good at or whatever, what other people are saying. Oh, they're influenced by that quick. They really move on that. They really go and do that. Oh, I see that you're an evangelist. I see that you're an apostle. So they go and they see they can't get that person to credential them. They'll go and print it off the internet and make sure that they even call that title because it was prophesied to them. It was told to them. It is something wrong in the society today who are looking for the hand and the voice of man. And I believe that God speaks through man. Don't get me wrong. Because if he's able to use a donkey to talk, he can use whoever he wants to talk for him and, and for his glory. But I believe that many are influenced by voices today and words that are very intellectual that have drawn people to believe these types of comments and things that are not in season and not in time. And most importantly, we need to make sure we understand is not graced by God. Many are called, but few are chosen. Be sure and watch for one of the messages going to be going out in a week, I believe, in regards to polished. I'm thinking the Lord gave me the word polished shafts or something like that. Polished shaft. I think that's what he said. Polished shaft. Polished shaft. So make sure you watch for that. But anyway, I guess I'm on number 14. 15. Extremely sensitive, I said that. No, I did not talk about it. Extremely sensitive is the next thing. They're extremely sensitive to criticism, okay, and defensive when corrected. Make sure you watch that. Jezebel don't like no. Leviathan, when they hear no, they're both of these types of spirit are ready to go to war. Okay, so they're extremely sensitive to criticism. They're very defensive when corrected. Pay attention to that. I guess I'm on number 15. They feel unappreciated and not recognized. Okay, they feel very unappreciated when they're not recognized, and when they're not getting things the way they need. They want to constantly be stroked. I guess I'm at number 17. I'm losing count. They have low tolerance for frustration. Pay attention when they're getting frustrated. The tolerance is almost zero, to the point that they want to make sure that you don't frustrate the things they're trying to get glory out of. You don't frustrate the plans that they have to make sure that this thing shine on them, or they can prove to you that they can shine or make you shine, meaning that I'm going to be the one that's going to help you shine. I'm going to be the one to make you see how I can do this thing and how we can do this together, and we can do it real good. The devil is crazy. Pay attention to this low tolerance for frustration about things that they say that they can do, not what God is saying about what they say they can do, okay? Have trouble focusing. They do. They have trouble focusing. I guess this is number 17. I don't know. They have trouble focusing, starting and completing assignments, okay? And that is so true. Over the years, I've witnessed so many who are going through this toxic type of part where they're really, really been abused so much that they can't focus. You can tell them, if you can go in the kitchen and bring me those 3 cups that's on the counter, and then when you come back, will you pour that water out that bucket that's sitting on the hallway on your way back? By the time they get back to you, they'll say, what was that second thing you told me to do? They may not even remember the 3 cups. And that's because they can't focus. Their mind is focused on just the material thing, or that thing that they can believe that you can say to them to make them look more glorious or look more powerful. If you're telling them about something like that, they will work. They will try to remember. They're going to write it down. But if you're giving them just detailed, practical things they need to do, that you need them to do, many times they can't do that. They can only focus on one thing. And the main thing they're going to focus on is anything that's going to lift them up or bring them some type of glorious look, because they want the vainglory. This is the reason why they have low tolerance and frustration. So now, as I said, think number 17, they're having this trouble focusing because they don't know how to start anything without you constantly repeating it over and over again to them, and they can't complete anything because, first of all, they don't even know how to start, so they don't even know in the middle where to finish. I don't want to preach. They don't even know in the middle where to finish. But we got these types in leadership. We got these types who want to say that God has called them, that they have been chosen for such a time as this, and it is not true. What it is that they see their own intellect. They see their own self-vainglory, and this is why God is not allowing it to grow. I guess it's number 18. They're highly sensitive. They react with great emotions. Yes, they do. They highly sensitive people, and I'll be teaching on that a little bit later on about sensitivity when it comes to highly sensitive people, because many of them have been dealing with this as a child. I'm very highly sensitive myself. One of my ears, they claim, it's not really operating the way it should. But I'm like, well, how am I able to hear all these sounds so clear? That's because I may not be able to hear the way these doctors think I can hear, but I can hear in the spirit with spiritual accuracy. And what the Lord has done is he's put that in me to be able to hear when I need to hear something. But many of them and many of the people who are suffering with what I'm talking about not right now, many of them who are highly sensitive, that's why they react the way they do, because they're so sensitive to any little thing you say. They react with great emotions. They cry. They throw fits just like children. So we got to be very sensitive with them, how we're saying things, how we're sharing with them, and not saying certain things that could wound them even worse. I guess I'm number 18. I don't know. They're always a victim, okay? And some people purposely are after we think about that person who has been harmed, okay? But, however, that person who has been harmed, they have a malicious thinking. They think to pay back, and that's what Jezebel does. They think to pay back. That's why they feel like they're always a victim. Jezebel feel like she's always a victim, and she's always got to be the fixer, or I'm going to show you if you don't do what I want you to do. And so they're always a victim, and some people, they play this victim mentality with on purpose. It's all purpose driven, okay? Especially after they've had some harm done to them, or they sent harm to somebody they know, or their children or grandkids, whatever. They after you, okay? Just like Ahab was, okay, here we are. Here she is doing everything, and all he had to do was whine. And there she goes, trying to make sure she fixes everything. We need to pay attention to those type of mentalities who's always so ready to say, oh, I don't understand why they're doing that, but we're gonna make it. It's gonna be all right. God is gonna help us. You'll see. You gotta be very, very careful, because they have a malicious thinking. They're thinking about how I can get you to know you're gonna wish you hadn't have done that. I guess I'm at 19. They have suspicious and paranoid behavior, okay? They're rooted, and the reason why they're rooted in the fear and their insecurities, but they have suspicious and paranoid behavior that's rooted in fear and insecurities. And most of the time, because it's rooted in fear, they have fear of failure, they have fear of rejection, they have fear of, just being rejected, period, from anybody, or fear that these things that they think that they can do, they become very paranoid about it, or they become very suspicious to try to see what you're trying to do to them, But this is because they've had so much regret and so much pain and so much fear of losing, or have lost so much, their hearts are still so broken and no healing. So they're very insecure people. I guess 19, I don't know, when I start talking, I lose count. But they're self-centered, okay? That's what the next one is here. They're self-centered. They're self-advertising, very, very careful with this type, because they want to advertise always something they got to promote about themselves. They have this vainglory seeking. Even they try to demonstrate this false humility part of it. That's what drives me crazy. They want to give this false humility, and that they're so concerned about other people, about you, when actually it's all just a facade. It's all just a performance. And I'm not saying that everybody is that way, but we need to make sure we're paying attention to this type of behavior. It flows out of these two veins, Jezebel and Leviathan. They're very self-centered. They're very self-advertising. It's all about them. They have this self-vainglory. Like I said, they like to demonstrate this part in their lives, that they're so humble, that they're so caring, that they're so nurturing, they're so helpful. Be very, very careful with these type. Whatever number it is, I'm not going to even call it no more. This is the next one. I'll say that. The next one, they have a short-term and not lasting friendship or relationship. Most of the time, the relationship they have is always something happened that somebody did to them, or it's not long before they're not even talking to that person no more, or they're not coming to church no more because of whoever it is at the church or in the ministry, or, at the workplace, whatever it is. It's very short term. They're not going to lunch with you no more. They're not talking to you no more. They're just not communicating, period, okay? So that means they don't keep any lasting relationships. They just like a seesaw. Up one day, you got a few friends that you hanging out with. Next day you're going to lunch by yourself, or nobody wants to talk to you. They're talking about you, and they are, because of the behavior that person has demonstrated. So they're talking about them, okay? And that relationship is not working anymore. And they're probably not with their mate anymore, because they was trying to control them for fear of rejection or fear that they're going to leave them. The next one, they cannot get ignored, okay, or not be acknowledged. But they got to be recognized and acknowledged in order to be able to have a genuine conversation with anybody in the room, or anywhere that you're mentioning their name, or where they're present when we're talking about certain things in regards to titles or positions, or any type of practice that they've done, or some deeds that they're done that's similar to the conversation. Then they want to make sure that you don't ignore, acknowledge. Don't ignore, and please do not forget to acknowledge, or recognize their accomplishment or what they've done. If you don't do that, they're going to make sure on the slick, they can say, well, I noticed you didn't say nothing about that, and you know I had that kind of certificate too, but you were talking about everybody else. Be very, very careful about this, and that's a great sign right there, letting you know that they cannot stand to be ignored, and they cannot stand that you're not acknowledging their gifts, their talents, the things that they have done that's similar or could be better than something that you're talking about or giving recognition about. Here's the next thing. They're very threatening of getting sick, okay? They're threatening of getting sick, or even they can become very suicidal to get attention. Over my cases and times with counseling cases, I've seen them do things to themselves. I've seen them stop taking their medication, anything to get sick, so that the person who they really want to pay them attention, they get sick so that they will, so they can call. They can say, well, I've been sick, that's why you haven't heard from me, or I this, I that. So they're going to threaten, or they're going to work a way to put a threat of sickness on themselves, or they're going to look suicidal in a way so that you can be trying to convince them not to do it when they're not going to do it, but it's only most of the time just a way to do this type of drama, toxic behavior so that you can draw to them or pay them attention or have your whole conversation and focus on them. They're very threatening about being sick. They're very threatening about suicidal, ways that they may be trying to do, but you do need to pay attention, but you need to use God's judgment on when to move and when and what to say, because a lot of time, a lot of it is just for attention. It is all drama most of the time. This is the reason why I'm giving you this emotional witchcraft series, so you can pay attention to these types of behavior. It doesn't only happen in leadership. It happens with our children. It happens to people close to us. It happens in the church, at work. It happens with some of your closest bros and sister girl friends. It's just some people have not dealt with their childhood, as I said earlier on, and these are the reasons why it's important for us to pay attention to this emotional witchcraft. And then the next thing is they have a passive-aggressive behavior, okay? They can be passive, but they're very aggressive. They may act like they're not going to do anything. They may act like it's all good, but they are very aggressive when it comes. You got one more time to do something across them. You got one more time to say something. They may jab slap you, very passive-aggressive. Yeah, I let that ride, but you got one more time. Or you do something before you know it. You probably walking across or passing them up. They done bust you upside your head. Or they done did something to try to make sure they trip you up into something that's very important, business deal or whatever. They're going to be very aggressively trying to mess you up. If they don't hit you, they're going to do something. They can spiritually attack you. Finally, at the end, the last one, they learn to stir up problems. They love to stir up problems, and they learn to turn small things into mountains, like I said earlier on. If you notice any of these, I don't care if it's just one. If you notice any of these in any person that you're dealing with, any family member, any child, it's time for you to not just distance yourself. It's time for you just to pray for that person and seek God about what to do with them, because eventually, if you don't remove them from your life, it's going to be a very, very serious matter. We got to always be careful, okay, when somebody appears to be so perfect, when somebody's trying to be so much in your face or trying to get attention or trying to be, more observant about your interactions, about what you're doing, because you never know truly what's lying beneath them. But you got to recognize this drama type of mentality. When I come back, I don't know how long I've been on here. I was trying to see if I can finish this up by telling you some keys to know about the Leviathan versus trusting the Leviathan and Jezebel spirit, but I'm just going to kind of tell you just a little bit, and I think that I'm going to close it here, and then we're going to come back when we're talking about your mental and your emotional bandwidth in dealing with these types, and to show you these 5 ways to get some healing from this, and hopefully to be able to help somebody else. In other words, for you to be able to recognize this drama, these are traps, okay? These are drama traps. These are traps that Jezebel and the Leviathan spirit has, and many of us have caused these people to do it to us so long till we become addicted to the drama, okay? And it's rooted a lot of times in pity. We feel bad for them. We have such a compassion for them, but everybody has a level that we all have. Some of us become so full of compassion fatigue till we're so tired of hearing this, and many of them that are having this kind of drama, toxic type of behavior that's trying to trap people who really care about them in it. These people are rooted in self-pity too. They have this inferiority complex, and they have this victim mentality. It's a very great sign, like I said, that the personality has to do with what I talked about earlier on with that wounded child. But there are several demonic principalities that they are facing. There's a lot of things that needs to be talked about in regards to Leviathan and Jezebel, because these two spirits, okay, these are two major powers of demonic principalities, and oftentimes these symptoms that they flow out of are emotional, and they are physical, and they are financial issues, and they're on this spiritual roller coaster that they're there to make sure that they get in your ear with all this drama to get you addicted in this open gate that you opened up and allow them to come in, and before you know it, they're sapping the very life, and the emotional bandwidth has been depleted. Let me share you even now about the difference in between the two, and I'm going to get off, okay? Jezebel is very controlling. I hope you're writing this down. This is only part of it. Without talk Jezebel, go somewhere on my page. I just realized I got over 800 videos here. I just realized that last night. I went, oh, my God, to God be the glory. But when I saw that, I said, God, my God, I've really been doing some work for you, Daddy. But when we look at Jezebel has a controlling spirit, okay? Now, remember, Jezebel can be a man or a woman, okay, as well as Leviathan. But Jezebel is a spirit. Jezebel has a controlling spirit, has a pushy. They have false prophetic messages that go across a lot of times that look very prophetic, okay? They're always saying what God is telling them or what they hear God said about you or God showed them, okay? But they're very pushy with the false prophecies. They want to make sure that you receive it so that they can make sure that what you're receiving now is entering in to control and manipulate you in the emotional realm, okay? And then the second thing about Jezebel, as I said earlier, they're very manipulative and they're very attention needy, okay? And then the third thing is they have this uncontrollable power, uncontrollable need for power and control. They want to make sure that they really, really feed off of power. They feed off of power, but they abuse power. Most Jezebel spirits abuse power. They make sure you're going to do it my way or the highway. We got to be very, very careful to watch this type of spirit. And they're always saying, touch not mine anointed and do the prophet no harm, when actually the main thing is that they're trying to get you to be able to accept these proper lies and these unfruitful words that you're allowing them to speak into your spirit, okay? So you got to make sure that you seek the Holy Spirit of truth when you're in prayer so you have revelation to understand what's being said to you. Is this from God or is this these principalities from Leviathan, or where are they, okay? So we need to make sure that God is talking to you and not these spirits, not Leviathan. I'm going to jump on here with Leviathan real fast when we get off here. So Leviathan spirits, number one, they have chains of words. They try to do word curses as a result of witchcraft that was fed by pride from whoever it was that they was under. And many of these people who are in these two realms of these principalities either was led by these types of spirits or that they were abused by these types of spirits, or they're under that type of spirit right now, and so from the head down it is flowing, okay? And so many times they don't even realize that they're flowing out of it because it's just like anything else, a child, like they say, the fruit don't fall far from the tree. And so Leviathan has chain words, like I said, they keep chains of words and curses and things like that. They do this witchcraft, and it's fed by pride. That's what they flow out of. It's got to be all about me, and it's got to be all about what I'm able to do. They're like a self-god, okay? And same thing with Jezebel. So they're partners in this type of principality of hell. So anyway, and then the second thing is for the Leviathan. They have a spiritual prophetic personality. They like to flow in that. They like to flow like Jezebel in this spiritual realm and make it look like that they're very prophetic, that they can share and see things, and making sure that you understand that God is talking to them and that you want to pay attention, But you got to remember, Leviathan is a snake. Leviathan is there. They know how to be smooth, and that snake skin know how to peel and change, and they can do it right before your eyes, and and you don't realize that it's changing, okay? This is why you got to pray for God to show you and reveal to you. Then the third thing about Leviathan, they like to twist other people's words and actions. They like to twist the words, like twist the action. You know, they have all the time. They lack. They lack a lot. They lack and they have debt. Many a times they lack, they have debt, they have a lot of financial struggles, and they have this unfulfilled life, and it seems to be that they seem to not ever have a great potential about anything. They have a bunch of things that they seem to look like it's looking very, how they say, blessed and highly favored, but many of them are just spending so much money trying to prove themselves. Many of them is twisting every word and doing everything and going through every door and trying to even invite themselves out to preach and everything else because they're trying to look blessed and highly favored and super spiritual. But they twist the words. They invite themselves with words. They're very smooth talkers, and they like to be in this place to look very, very financially stable when they know that they can't hardly rub two pennies together with it to make it even 2 cents. But they have a lot of lack going on, a lot of debt. And they have a lot of financial struggles. And most of the time, because they want to buy expensive things, cars, houses, material things, to try to look very, very blessed and highly favored. And they have a lot of unfulfilled visions and dreams and things that they think that is holier than thou and that God has shown them. And so they're saying, well, God hasn't got me there yet. That's because most of the time we can see both of these spirits kissing each other in the spirit realm. And this is what we got to make sure that we look at to see what is God saying to me. Do not rush into these two areas of relationships. You got to look at your boundaries. You got to look at what God is saying to you in regards to your emotions. Why am I doing this? Why am I talking to them? Why do I really want to even listen to this, you know? Why am I allowing them to keep hurting me and disappointing me, okay? Once your trust is broken, you're going to know that you put your trust in the wrong thing, okay? I gave you Psalm 44. It says, blessed is the man who makes the Lord his trust. Okay, you got to make sure you don't keep drawing your information, these illusional type of visions that you give this person is very sincere after you know where they've been and they've been better now. Trust is something that is earned by means of respect, okay? So don't rush into this. When you know the peace of God is with you and God has released you to do a certain thing, then you can cut these soul ties easy when you know it is not from God and it's not of God. Once you live with this boundary that God is trying to use me to tell you about, you're going to see how peaceful, how healthier your life can be. And remember, once you open that door to your heart, the only way that you can get that door closed is going to be through Jesus, and it's going to be through fasting. It's going to be through repentance. And so God is going to give you the peace. It's going to give you the rest. He's going to give you all the things that you need and deserve as long as you come into a place to know that these particulars that I gave you, you've got to work hard to make sure that you have the respect and the boundaries that you need so people can value you and not dishonor you and disrespect you. In Jesus' name. I'm getting off here. I went much longer than I had planned to, but I pray that you share this message, and I pray that you would be sure and watch for the next, the last one on emotional witchcraft that I'm going to be sharing on the boundary of emotions. Be sure and watch for that particular one that is going to be sometime maybe in a couple of weeks on part 3 in regards to, like I said before, trying to give you those 5 different ways, those 5 different strategies to help you not just sacrifice your emotions and your energy, but I want to help you to make sure that you save it, that your energy be in save mode. So I'm going to give you 5 inner healing strategies for increasing your mental and your emotional bandwidth. God bless you. You're certainly going to need it after the emotional witchcraft that many times people are trying to feed us and put us in, and we've got to watch our emotional boundaries in order to do that. God bless you. Talk to you soon. Please share the